Greetings to all my fellow watch enthusiasts on YouTube and Facebook and wherever else this video will be seen and shared. Celine Driver once again, bringing you another unboxing and review of another watch that is mine. Oh yes, this is mine. Very rarely do I get a Zelos in that isn't mine, and this is definitely not one of those times. This is, as you saw from the title of the video, this is another Zelos Starfighter. This would be my third Starfighter. There are 5 in the lineup, and yes, I'm going to get all 5. Yes, I am. Why? Because I can, or at least I hope I can, and because I am crazy. And while I do not have quite the number of Zelos as my good friend Josh over at Horology Insanity, I think I'm doing okay in terms of my ability to gather Zelos watches. And as I say all the time, I want all the Zelos. All of them. Send them all. But I was very happy to find this one. This one is one of these Spitfires. They're kind of hard to come by, but I did manage to come by one. And I must say, right off the top, I love this new aluminum Zelos case. I really, I'm a big fan of aluminum, especially my Celine has quite a bit of aluminum parts in it, trim parts, that kind of thing, switches, dials, trim pieces, that sort of thing. I'm a big fan of the way aluminum looks, and this case to me is fantastic looking. It really is. I am worried about how easy it might scratch, but I haven't managed to scratch mine yet, so there you go. But anyway, inside the beautiful aluminum case, and yes, I've already unwrapped it, and I've already sized it, and I've already worn it, is my Zelos Spitfire, Starfighter Spitfire. And she's a beauty. Just beautiful. I really love the way the Starfighter looks. I saw renderings of this watch well before the watch went into production, and was just smitten. I mean, that's the only word I can think of. I'm just smitten by the way it looked. It was to me, it was a beautiful evolution of the old ZX chronograph. I mean, they don't look. I mean, they are distinctive looking. I've done a comparison video between one of my ZX watches and one of my Starfighters. I mean, obviously they're not. They have a familial relationship, but the time between when Elshin did the ZX and did the Starfighter, you can tell he's evolved his design techniques, especially in the bracelet, which to me is one of the best parts of this watch. I think the bracelet is fantastic. It reminds me very much, as I've said before, it reminds me very much of the H. Moser and C. Streamliner watch. If you don't know what that is, go look up that watch and take a look at that bracelet. It has kind of a snakeskin scale interlocking look to that bracelet. And I think this bracelet kind of mimics that in a way, the way the links play with each other. They have good flow with each other. They have great flexibility. I mean, look at that flexibility between links. It's a very comfortable watch to wear. Now, Josh, in one of his recent videos, which I loaned him my Aventurine Starfighter, he did register a bit of a complaint with the thickness of the clasp compared to the bracelet. I'm not as worried about that. I'm not as animated about that as he was. Especially since I consider in my own head the alternative to that would have been a butterfly style clasp, which I absolutely hate those. You can never get them adjusted right, and they're just a pain in the butt to work with. And in my case, I probably would have yanked the whole bracelet off and gone with something completely different if there was a butterfly clasp on there. I've done that before with some of my watches. They have butterflies. They don't have them anymore when I have them. I usually put them on something else. The links that are removable are secured with screws. They are a little bit smaller than the average screw, but they do work well. You have a spring-loaded micro adjust in the back. You can push it in with no problem, like that, and to pull it out, you pull on this tab, and it pulls all the way out to there. You can see how much micro adjust you have. And I had it, 2 in, 3 in, something like that. And it's really a good fine micro adjust, so you can really dial this watch in very nicely. You have a signed crown, unsigned piston style pushers. And you have an outboard tachometer scale on the outside bezel. Railroad track inside bezel. Very subtle date window at the 6 o'clock. You have 2 subdials. You have a chronograph, and I'll start the chronograph. You have a chronograph running second hand there, the big one. You have chronograph minutes at the 9 o'clock. And at the 3 o'clock, you have your constant second. I'll just let this run for a while. Beautifully done watch. I like the way the lugs drop away. So the watch, even as big as it is, it's not terribly big, but the watch will wear very nicely on smaller wrists. I'd say 6 inches wrist all the way down there. You could probably wear this watch very comfortably. On the down the barrel shot, you can see it, the lug drops in and falls in right there. Very nicely done. Beautiful polish on it. I mean, I really, really love the Starfighter design. I mean, obviously, I own 3 of them now. I'm going to own all 5. I wouldn't do that. I mean, I might be one of the biggest Zelos fanboys out there, but I'm not gonna spend the money on a watch or a series of watches that I don't really like. I mean, there are plenty of Zelos watches that I like, but not enough to collect them all. But this is one of them. I like the contrast of the dial to the subdials. That really looks good. Now, but what makes this watch so special is the dial itself. I mean, the dial material itself is what makes it special. And the reason why it's called the Spitfire. Now, there are only 50 of these. This is number 22. Here, I'll show you the card. 22. The dial is actually made from the aluminum, or if you wish, aluminium wing panel of a Mark 9 Supermarine Spitfire. Now, for those of you who don't know, the Spitfire was a World War II fighter aircraft flown by the British Air Force, the RAF, the Royal Air Force, I should say, back in World War II, and is roundly credited with helping the British win the Battle of Britain against the German Luftwaffe. It was a fantastic fighter aircraft, I think one of the best in World War II. Fantastic piece of equipment. And one of these was being restored, and one of the panels had to be removed and replaced during restoration on the wing. And Elshin managed to get a hold of that panel and has been making watch dials from them. Now, I have a one-of-one Spitfire ZX, which was Elshin's watch before he sold it to me. Thank you, Elshin. He's also done a Spitfire dial Sky Raider Generation 2, and now he's done this watch. And this follows in the tradition of watches that Elshin has done with a military theme. He did several watches in the first generation Hammerhead with metal from the USS Los Angeles, nuclear attack submarine, which is retired. He's done, watches with the Spitfire. He's done watches with the ZX-8, which is the Blackbird, which uses metal from one of the tail feathers of the engine of a SR-71 Blackbird recon fighter, or recon aircraft, I should say, as a dial. And I have one of those, and that is a highly cherished piece in my collection. So this is something that Elshin has done many times, is do a dial based on military aircraft or Navy seacraft. And I hope he does more of them, actually. So let's see. Well, the chronograph is run for a while here. Let it get up past the hour hand. So you can stop it with the upper pusher. You can see with the mechanism that's used inside, there's no jump to the hand. And you push the lower button, and it's a flyback, and it just snaps back to reset. So the dials were made from the aluminum wing panel of a Mark IX Spitfire. They were lightly sanded to remove corrosion, but otherwise any marks that were on the wing panel were left intact. So each dial in the series of 50 is going to look a little bit unique. I have my sheet of facts here, so I can give you the statistics, which are exactly the same as the statistics of the other two watches. It's a 41 millimeter case with a 48 millimeter lug to lug, 22 millimeter lug width, about 13 millimeter thick, to a box style sapphire crystal. The watch is all of 316L stainless steel. The case, the bracelet, the clasp, they're all 16L stainless steel. 50 meter water resistance. This is not a screw down crown. This is not sealed pushers to take this thing underwater to any extent. You could get it wet. You could probably get thrown in a pool, and if you get out real quick, you're probably not going to damage the watch. I wouldn't recommend it. Get caught in the rain, washing your hands, that kind of thing should be all right. But this is not a swimmable watch. By the way, quick release spring bars on the bracelet. Always helpful. The whole thing is run by an ETA 2894 Elaborate movement with a custom rotor, custom turbine rotor made for Zelos. The movement itself is not highly decorated. This doesn't really by the way, it's a sapphire crystal on the bottom too. Again, a highly decorated movement is not something that I concern myself with, and for the most part. I mean, mostly the only thing that's going to see the movement is that. And there are no eyeballs on the average person's wrists. So, again, a highly decorated movement doesn't really sway me one way or the other. What sways me is the construction of the watch. Now, the fact that it's an ETA movement means it's going to give you a good amount of long life and be a very durable and very accurate watch. All three of my Starfighters have been proven to be very accurate. Mostly, for the most part, they're set and forget watches. I mean, you might have to play with them a little bit. In months without 31 days in them, you're going to have to play with the quick set on the date, but otherwise. Now, the movement is, of course, a hack movement. As you can see, pull it out 2 clicks. It hacks the watch, and you can set the time. The first click is, of course, quick set for the date. I think this is a beautifully done watch. I mean, it's not as pretty as the Aventurine watch. Obviously, I mean, not very many watches are going to be as pretty as an Aventurine dial. But for what it is, it's just a good-looking watch. I'm very, very glad I was able to find one. And the price was right, so very happy with that. And I know the bracelet is somewhat controversial out there, especially on Zelos Timekeepers. Doesn't bother me at all. And I'm not saying that as a fanboy. I'm saying that as, someone who, lives with his watches. He wears his watches. And I forgot to take the plastic off of there. Oh, my buddy Random Rob's going to yell at me for not taking the plastic off the watch before I made the video. Anyway. I'll do it later. Anyway, I'm going to wear the hell out of this watch, and I'm going to continue hunting for the other 2 that I need. The meteorite one's going to be a little hard to find, I think, but I'll manage. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found it to be entertaining, informative, and useful. If you did, please click that thumbs up for me. That does help grow the channel. It's always appreciated when you do click that thumbs up. And it's not asking a lot out of you. Just please do it before you leave the channel. Questions, comments, suggestions down below. I do read them all. I do respond to them all. I do also delete any comments that are trolling or leave links to bad places on the internet on my comment section. I delete the comments. I block the commenter. There's always one. Always one. If you're new to the channel, of course, welcome. I appreciate you finding the channel. I hope you found this video to be useful to you. I hope you will stick around and watch other videos that I've made as well. All I ask in return for all this great information and entertainment is please click that subscribe button. And when you do that, don't forget to click the bell icon next to it so that when I upload new material, you're alerted. Also, when I do live streams, which I do every Wednesday afternoon at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, or at other times during the week when I'm able to, you'll be alerted to those streams and you can come and watch and join the fun. Admittedly, generally not about watches on those live streams. Those streams usually are populated with a lot of my college football buddies. And we usually talk sports or we talk all kinds of subjects. But if you want to come over and talk about watches, please do. That would be very nice. Anyway, as I always say at the end of my videos, it is a crazy old world out there. And it's not getting any less crazy. So I ask you to be safe, be well, be careful out there. I'll see you soon.